Hello, good morning, and how are you doing today? You are welcome to another session. And in this video, I will be taking you through my thought process on what my expectation is going to be like on the GBPUSD for this week. This is going to be a follow up video to my previous analysis and talking about follow ups. I want us to look at how we took advantage of some trading opportunities here on the GPUSD last week. So, at the beginning of the week last week, we were able to identify those channel between the 1.20530 and the 1.20450 after missing out from the sell momentum that began below the 1.2100 level. In fact, the year started on a bearish note for the GBP USD, and we were waiting out for either a breakdown or a breakout of the channel to give us a trading opportunity. And in fact, we initially had the breakout of the 1.20550. 530. We took advantage of the buy opportunity, locked in some profit at break even, and the sell pressure came in, taking us out of the position to trigger the sell stop order right below the 1.20450, and we rode that move all the way down, which gave us about over 100 pips thereabout on that first position here before we started witnessing a consolidation phase here, and we were looking out for another opportunity to add more position if price breaks down the structure, or we could have a break above the channel to incite another wave of bearish momentum right below the 1.20200 level. And during the course of the week, that is on the 3rd, we saw price come back into the 1.20200 as projected here. We added another position at that point, but unfortunately, buy momentum came in here, and we identified this bullish trend line to guide our trading activities. As if price continue to respect that trend line, we'll look for buying opportunity, and if price breaks down the trend line, we look out for selling opportunity. And in fact, we saw the breakdown of that channel. We entered another position right below the 1.20450, added another position below the 1.20200, and we rode that move all the way down, and we were able to scoop over how many pips was that? Over 100 pips following the ADP employment change event for that day. And we rode the move all the way down here before we saw a sign of bullish momentum during the later part of last week, which I personally missed on the GBP USD. And for those who would like to have a peep into the daily commentaries on how we took advantage of all the trading opportunities we had last week, I will be dropping the link to that video right in the um, description box below of this current video. Now diving into the current structure here, that is on the daily time frame. So I will be jumping right into the current structure since this is going to be a follow-up video, and if you would like to see what led to us identifying this current structure, well, you might want to check out the previous analysis on the GPUSD. I will drop a link to that video at the top right hand side of the screen. So going into the daily time frame here, the first thing we observe here is the fact that price action has been on a bullish momentum since the month of September, and as a result of this, I was able to connect the series of higher lows here to give us that bullish trend line, which has been guiding bullish momentum since that month of September through into the early days of this year. In addition to this trend line is that important key level at the 1.200 level. And if we look to as far back as the month of June last year, we saw how the 1.200 level has been a major determinant of price action. So in this regard, we shall be using this level as a guide for our trading activity for this year. Now, going into the new week, there are two things we are going to be looking forward to here on the GBPUSD. And the one is the fact that we want to understand what is really going on around the structure here, a level with the 1.200 level, which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line that we identified earlier. So there are two possibilities that could happen here. Well, the first one is we could have buy pressure resume above the 1.200 level to incite another wave of bullish momentum, hereby respecting that bullish trend line one more time. And we could also have a situation where price breaks down the 1.200 level, break down that bullish trend line to incite a sell off on the GBP USD. But not before we finally make a decision here, it's important to scale down to the lower time frame so that we can really understand what is really going on around here and use the structures we have there to determine what our next line of action would be. But before I scale down to the lower time frame, I would like us to look at the economic calendar and see what macroeconomic event we shall be looking forward to for this week that will be bringing some liquidity into the market to drive price movement. And when I pulled out the economic calendar here, what I was able to identify was the fact that there is no macroeconomic event for the pound, but we have something for the US dollar. And that is on Thursday, we have the consumer price index. And on Friday, we have the publication from the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, which we have a consensus of about 61.6, a little bit higher than the previous data. So that's like some level of positivity for the dollar for this week. So let's see how participants in this market will be anticipating this event. And definitely, we shall be seeing the reflection of this anticipation as price action on our chart. So going back to the chart right now and scaling down to the 4 hours time frame, I was able to identify a simple setup here that I think we can use to guide our trading activity for the week. Now, here we are on the 4 hours time frame, and the first thing I was able to observe here is the fact that since the 22nd of December last year, we saw how price action has been caught within a channel of the 1.2100 level, and that key level we identified on the daily time frame had the 1.200 area. So we have the supply niche here as every attempt by the set buyers to break out of the 1.21 level has been met with strong resistance from the sellers. And when we saw attempt by the sellers to break down the structure, we saw the negation of selling pressure here by the buyers to give us a demand zone at that point. And since the beginning of the year here, we saw that price action has been going through a selling phase. As you see, price action started the year below the 1.2100 level, breaking down that important key level we identified on the daily time frame at the 1.200 level. It's not once but twice it broke down that structure to the downside to further emphasize the strength of the sellers at this particular point in time. Though we had a bullish momentum here on Friday, which took price out into which price moved over. Let's see how many pips that was. Over 240 pips. I actually missed that move because I didn't enter. I didn't catch the breakout of that structure early enough as I was out on the road. So we saw these 240 moves moving to the upside, and what we saw is that price came closer to the 1.2100 level, a level which has been a strong selling niche for participants in this market in the last 2 to 3 weeks now. So at this point, you would agree that we are at a critical point in the market right now as we need to understand what is really going to be happening around the 1.2100 level to decide what our next line of action would be. So there are two situations that we might be looking forward to. We might see sell pressure resume again right below the 1.21 level to incite another wave of bearish momentum. That is one possibility we are also going to be taking into consideration during the early hours of the week. And the other possible situation that could happen here is if price breaks out of the 1.21 level, taking out all the sell position here to gain some liquidity to push price to the upside. And we might likely see a consolidation phase around this area that could transition into a bullish rectangular pattern, that is a trend continuation pattern that will incite a new bullish momentum on the GBPUSD. So these are my scenarios that I will be looking forward to this week, but be rest assured that I will be jumping right in the comment section of this video after monitoring how participants in this market will be reacting to the current structure here during the early hours of the week. If this video has been of immense help in making your personal decision on the GBPUSD. I would really appreciate that you support this project by clicking the like button. If you also want to follow me on my TradingView platform so that you don't miss out on the regular updates I normally share in the comment section of all of my video, you can look for me at Darksheri, DARCSHERRY on TradingView so that you can follow me to be part of my daily commentaries. So thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate, and I wish you a wonderful evening. Do have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.